Hi, I'm Miri. I am the owner of 10 Bloom Cakes, a bakery located in Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. So I'm originally from California. I spent most of my occupational life, most of my professional life working in the legal field, and I was a flight attendant for a little bit. And then I eventually got into more office management and I worked in the events space. I really kind of changed my life when I worked for a bakery that was called Delicious Cookies and Milk in Hollywood. And I really learned how to run a bakery, how to deal with a luxury product in a luxury space and cater to a certain clientele. And it really changed everything about how I saw myself fitting into the world as an entrepreneur. In 2013, I married the love of my life, Matt, and he is phenomenal. We originally met in 2005 on MySpace. And after a few hills to climb, we did tie the knot on June 16th, 2013. And in 2014, we found out we were expecting. When we had our son in 2015, I ended up getting laid off from my job while on maternity leave, which was heartbreaking because I did have my dream job, or what I thought was my dream job, in marketing. And not soon after that, my husband was laid off from his job. And we decided that Los Angeles was just so much of a rat race and so hard to live in when you have children that we decided to move to North Carolina, where his parents lived. In North Carolina, I did other marketing jobs. I became pregnant again, and in 2018, I gave birth to my second son. And it wasn't long after that, while on maternity leave, I was laid off again. So that was crushing, but also it was the final nail in the coffin. I just could not work for anybody else anymore. I needed to just work for myself or just work for my kids. It was during that time that I found an Instagram account called Butter Blossoms. And it's a woman in Thailand who is phenomenal. She was sculpting buttercream with palette knives. And I am a person that is very anti-fondant. I really believe that anything that's on a food product should be there to be tasted and tasted along with whatever it is you're there to enjoy. So finally, I saw this cake design that was not only gorgeous, but absolutely delicious to eat. And I thought, how am I going to get to Thailand to learn from this woman? She's doing such amazing work. Well, I had just been laid off from my job. There was no way I was going to Thailand. So I spent $15, which really was quite a sacrifice at the time, and bought myself some palette knives, made myself cakes, actual real cakes, 4 cakes a week to practice. And I stared at her Instagram account and just tried to figure it out. The beauty of that is I had no idea what kind of buttercream she was using, and I had no instruction of how she was doing what she was doing. As a result, we have completely different styles, and we use completely different buttercreams, which allow for a different kind of sculpting. And I think that's really neat that you can take this one medium and you can make it all your own, even if you're taking inspiration from somebody else. So eventually the pressure was so great, I decided, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just do a home bakery. So I bought my website, I built it, and then I pressed live and I braced myself for the orders to come in. And I heard crickets for 2 months. At that time, I had learned that there is such a thing as dummy cakes where I can practice. And so every day I just made a new cake and I pretended like people were ordering from me. So with time, the customers did come, and it was not long until I got requests for tutorials. So I contacted some friends of mine and we worked together and created video tutorials, and I also went on the road to do in-person workshops. So now I not only have my online tutorials, I travel frequently to teach bakers all over the world. So I have something called synesthesia, and synesthesia is when your senses crisscross. And so some people taste names, other people smell music or what have you. But something that all synesthetes have in common is they assign gender, color, and personality to numbers and letters. So when I am thinking about designing a cake, I am more kind of in a mode of like, what number am I feeling today? Or what kind of personality do I need to come through? And that's kind of how I combine all of my colors together. And sometimes it's a complete surprise. So when I was coming up with a name for my company, I wanted it to read in my head as this very dark teal. That's just the color that I wanted all the numbers and letters to come together and make in my synesthesia head. I also knew that I wanted blooms to be in the cake. That was like a very important word to me, bloom or blooms. So my friend Jamie, she and I have kind of a funny story about how we relate to a historical person named Corrie ten Boom. And Corrie ten Boom was a real hero. She hid Jews during the Holocaust, and she actually went to a concentration camp and she survived. So my friend Jamie came up with the name 10 Bloom Cakes, like Corrie ten Boom. And it just was that color. It was perfect. And I loved also that it kind of sounded like an address. So there are a lot of elements that go into how I got to the name 10 Bloom Cakes, but I think it's actually quite special that I'm able to honor somebody that was so wonderful and so righteous in the name of my company. What I've learned starting my own cake business is that it really takes a huge support system. There is no way I could have done this without the endless support of my parents and my in-laws. When you have that support system, you can do anything. At the end of the day, they are going to be the ones to step up and help you when you need it the most, and maybe even when you don't. To learn more about my tutorials, workshops, or cakes, go to my website or follow me on Instagram for the latest information.